Have you ever seen the movie Doctor Strange? It's a Marvel movie. It's a comic movie. Don't worry about it. I'm going to give you the gist of the movie right now. See, Doctor Strange is a normal man at the moment. He is a professional medical doctor. He is one of the top surgeons in the world. He is great for what he does. Doctor Strange is a man that has many talents in the operating room. He's able to take a knife and a scalpel. He's so steady with his hands. He's able to do things that other people would not be able to do. Doctor Strange is a man that is able to do more with his hands than maybe 10 doctors would be able to do. However, Doctor Strange, for some reason, has a problem. Doctor Strange is a prideful man. Doctor Strange is a greedy man. Doctor Strange looks low on others. Doctor Strange has burnt some bridges because of his mouth. Doctor Strange has had attitudes with people that was only there to help him, but because of who he thinks he is, he has a problem because he thinks that he's so good with his hands and has the gift that he has that nobody can touch him. Doctor Strange is a brilliant doctor, but a horrible person. He has a brilliant mind, but a catastrophic personality. He's wonderful medically, but he's disastrous personally. He had no understanding of what the gift he had, and he thought that he was his own reason for his success until he got in a car accident. He got in a car accident that took away the very gift that was able to keep him standing strong. The very gift, the very thing that made him the prideful and the horrible but yet wonderful doctor that he is was taken away. It was taken away by the car accident, and it wasn't until Doctor Strange he started to research his own injury and tried to tell doctors how to operate on him so that he'll be able to go back into the operating room. And it got to the point to where Doctor Strange had annoyed and made upset so many other doctors that they refused to operate on him. He was such a horrible person overall. But it wasn't until Dr. Strange heard about a man who had basically a fully broken body, and he was taken to this place where they tapped into a spiritual place that healed his physical body. Dr. Strange wanted to know about it, but Dr. Strange wanted it for his own purposes. He wanted it for his own devices. He wanted it because he wanted to be back in the operating room and be the man that he knew he was. But even though this movie is fictional, I believe that some principles applied through God that we'll see ourselves doing the same thing. Here in Luke chapter 6, verse 38, it's a narrative that shows us that we cannot beat God's giving. It also shows in the whole 6th chapter of Luke that Jesus gave principles this whole time. Can I list them down for you? Verses 1 through 5, Jesus talks about physical giving. This is where Jesus and the disciples eat grain on the Sabbath, and Jesus had to remind the Pharisees who was talking about him and saying that he was committing a crime. He had to tell them and remind them what David did back in 1 Samuel when he had to feed his comrades with the bread, the showbread from the synagogue, from the temple that they were in, because his men were hungry. Jesus had to remind them also that he is bigger than the Sabbath. That's his physical giving. Verses 6 through 11 talks about giving new life, where Jesus heals a man on the Sabbath. Here it is. These Pharisees who think that they know so much more than Jesus are trying to trap him into something because it is on the Sabbath and they're in a synagogue. And here it is. Jesus, they're waiting for Jesus to heal this man with a leprosy hand. And Jesus only tells the man to raise his hand, to show his hand, and his hand became healed. His hand was healed just from showing it, giving the man what he was asking for. Verses 12 through 16 talks about giving purpose, because this is where Jesus takes 12 guys. 12 guys has been on their own journey. He claims them for himself, names them disciples, and takes them on a journey of a lifetime. And while trying to show them and help them and prepare them for what's coming, what ends up happening is that those same fellas ends up turning on Jesus, and he gives them life like no other. And while at the same time showing them all that they would need. Verses 17 through 19 talks about the giving of healing, where Jesus heals a multitude that follows him, and they followed him because of what they had heard, hearing that he could heal the people. Everyone with physical, mental, and spiritual issues followed Jesus, and Jesus healed them there. Verses 20 to 23, Jesus gives us our direction. Here's where Jesus institutes the Beatitudes. Jesus gives us the Beatitudes, telling us that even when evil comes after us, it's not what we have done, but it's because of who he is that we have what we have. If we carry ourselves with the characteristics of these Beatitudes, we too will be able to receive God's glory. Verses 24 through 26 talks about sowing and reaping. Jesus lets the people know who were living a life of abundancy, that they were captured in a criminal way, that his giving is not a respecter of person, but his giving is truly what you sow. Sow evil and you will reap evil. Sow goodness and you will receive goodness. Verses 27 through 36 talks about the gift of love. And Jesus tells us that we should love our enemies, even the ones who persecute us, who talk about us, who deny us, and the ones who hold grudges towards us. Because if we are not careful, we can be as guilty as those who are evil. Get this, evil people still love. Okay? Evil people still loan money to other people. Get this, thieves and murderers still have a code of ethics. So what would make us right if we act and live according to their standards? Right? So that's the gift of love. And verses 37 to 42 talks about giving grace produces grace. That's where Jesus tells us not to judge others. He tells us that we should make sure that we are in alignment with him. Before we try to tell someone else how they should live their life, before we try to tell somebody else which direction they should go, before we try to tell somebody else what car they should get, what man they should marry, what woman they should date, where they should go work at, before we try and tell somebody what church they should go to, we better be in church ourselves. Listen, not just be in church, participant in the church. Not just show up on Sunday. Amen. We have to make sure, this is what it tells us, we have to make sure before we try to usher somebody else into the presence of God, we got to be there first. You can't push somebody where you've never been. Make sure you've been in the presence of God first. But this also is where we find verse 38. Right after Jesus says in verse 37, do not judge others and you will not be judged. Do not condemn others, or it will all come back against you. Forgive others, and you will be forgiven. And meaning that his mighty power has the power of reciprocation. Get this, you reap. Okay, y'all, that's good. That's good. You reap what you sow. Then Jesus gives us this powerful and mighty words. He says, give, comma, and you will receive. Your gift will return to you in full, pressed down, shaken together to make room for more, running over and poured into your lap. The amount you give will determine the amount you give back. Here is what will happen in your worship through and in giving. Here's the first thing that the verse tells us is that you will receive. That's the first thing it tells us, is that you will receive. It's right there in verse 38, right there at the beginning. Give, comma, and you will receive. Y'all notice the comma right there. It's a comma to help us to pause, because it's not supposed to all run together. This is what it says. It says give. Let's stop right there. That's your part. That's where you come in. That's where you participate. You're supposed to give the way God told you to give. If you do not give, you will not receive. The comma is there to let you know where you are supposed to be in this verse. Give, comma, and you will receive. This is where in your giving, God does not let it go unnoticed. Your giving has been seen by God. Jesus here is specifically telling the people and us that if you give, you will receive. Let me help you. Please understand that your money may not always be good. You have to understand that your giving is not just what you give to the church. It's not just the money that you let someone borrow, and it's not the kind words that you give. It's not the great hugs that you give. Our giving can sometimes be sinful. See if I can help you. We talk about giving so much, but we only talk about one side of the giving. We only talk about how good it is to give and what you will get in return for giving. We talk about how God will multiply that thing and return it back to you. We talk about all the good stuff, but we don't talk about how our giving can sometimes be gossip. Y'all ain't gonna like me this morning. We don't talk about how our giving can sometimes be false judgment. We don't talk about how sometimes our giving can be an attitude for everybody. We don't talk about how sometimes our giving can be the giving of unforgiveness. We don't talk about how sometimes our giving can be the giving of destruction, because if it didn't start with me, it ain't going to include me. We don't talk about how sometimes our giving can be the giving of jealousy. Jesus reminds us in chapter 6 that our giving is not always the correct way to give. While we always talk about the good stuff, we need to be real for a second. And be real with yourself, because we don't always give what we should be giving. I like the way chapter 6 is constructed, because after Jesus was accused of breaking the law for eating for the bread of the temple, he was also accused of breaking the law to heal a man in the synagogue. And then Jesus names 12 dudes who are supposed to be his brothers, but would ultimately leave him in his time of need. One sold him out, another one denied him, and the other scattered like the street lights came on at nighttime. But then right in the middle, Jesus gives us the Beatitudes. right after he heals a multitude of people, Jesus gives us the Beatitudes. Wait, hold up 1 second. Let me pause right here, because Jesus went through all of that and still turned around and healed folk. Yet, here we are, mad just because someone didn't speak to us. Here we are, mad and upset at some stuff that ain't got nothing to do with us. Here we are putting our nose in business that don't belong to us and getting mad when we don't find out how the story ended. That's nosy. Here we are getting mad and upset because of what's happening in our life when we have no intention on being the person that God called us to be. And then we get ready and we want to quit church altogether. Come here. Come here. If you giving up, expect to be given up on. If you give, I quit, expect to be quitted on. Come here. If you give, I don't want to, expect that nobody will. If you give gossip, expect gossip. If you give hate, expect hate. If you give pressure, expect pressure. Jesus is telling us right here, give and you will receive. But it all depends on what you give. Does that help someone? Come on, let's keep going. Here's the second thing that Jesus tells us through this verse. He tells us, yes, sir, thank you for my amen corner. It's returning to you. Look at your neighbor and say, it's returning to you. This is the second part of verse 38 that says, your gift will return to you in full. Get this, pressed down. Ooh, I got excited reading that. Mother Benton, good to see you. Your gift will return to you full, pressed down. You know what I love about God? Can I tell you what I love about God? I'm going to tell you anyway. I love that God doesn't do things halfway. I can remember when my kids were younger, we used to give them chores to do around the house, and I always knew which ones I could depend on to get their chores done properly and which ones was going to try and short me. I knew the ones who was going to try and get around doing all that they're supposed to do, and I knew the ones that I didn't have to worry about. I could peep in and look and see what they were doing, and when they were doing their chores, I knew that sometimes I had to sit in the room with them to make sure they did their chores fully, instead of trying to hide stuff and say they did stuff just by spraying water on it. Y'all ain't got no kids like that? Okay, cool. That's just my house. So I knew that I had to sit in the room with them, and I knew which ones I could depend on and which ones I had to watch. Can I ask you a question? Which one are you? Does God come by and see you doing what you're supposed to do, tap you on your shoulder and keep moving? Or does God have to come and sit in your presence, making sure that you will do exactly what he told you to do? Because this is what I learned. My kids didn't like, some of them didn't like doing chores because of the way their father was. Because of the directions I gave them, some of them didn't like it because they felt like I was doing too much. But I realize that if those kids that want to give me half work, if I tell them I give them something, then all of a sudden their motor turns on and they scrubbing down stuff I didn't even tell them to scrub down. The crazy part is that if God is asking you to do something and he noticed that you only do it halfway, doesn't that warrant God to give us half a blessing? Doesn't that, in our finite mind, if we were God, if you do it halfway, I'm either going to give you half of it or I'm going to give you nothing. But thanks be unto God that God is not like us. And that God is still such a giving God, because the truth of the matter is, if God was like us, we would be driving around in half of a car. We would be living in half of a house, in a halfway house. We would be living halfway in the street and halfway in somebody's room. We would get half of what God has for us. But the Bible says that I shall supply, come on, Bible readers, all your needs according to the riches in Christ Jesus. He tells us here that your gift will return to you full, pressed down. But wait, not just full, but it will be pressed down. Here's another thing my kids used to try and short me on. My boys used to short me on because my girls didn't take out the trash. My boys used to short me on taking the trash out. I used to tell my boys take the trash out and they would go and do it real quick. But I had to teach them, don't just go and take the bag out and throw it out because you're wasting garbage bags. I would go to the garbage can and they'll be half full garbage bags because they're just trying to hurry up and get it done. What I had to tell them is that when you go to take the trash out, before you take the bag out, push it down so you can make room for more. Push it down so that the stuff that's in there will get pressed down together. And that way you'll know if you need to take the trash out or if you need to keep the bag in there. Because once you start pressing down on it, there's some stuff that has to give way. Can I help you on this morning? Because if God is such the great God that he is, I don't want you to get upset at the pressing that God is doing in your life. I don't want you to get upset because you feel like God is doing some pressing in your life. Listen, the pressing is getting the stuff that don't need to be there out and making room for the stuff that he's about to pour in. Can I help somebody today? God's pressing on you because of what's in you. And now God is trying to get the stuff that's not supposed to be there out so that he can put the stuff that is supposed to be there in. I'm just talking about giving. Because when God says that he will return it to you in full, he means that he will fill up what you have, press it down, and make room for more. God has so much for you that he has to press down the blessings he already gave you to make room for the other ones he has for you. That's the second one. That's the second one. Here's the third one. Come with me. We're still in verse 38. Sometimes you got to shake it because there's more. You got to shake it because there is more. It's right here. It says shaking together to make room for more. I love fruit. I love fruit. Tyrone, I love fruit. Jeff, I love fruit. Greg, I love fruit. Everybody, I love fruit, right? Dominique, I love fruit. I had a watermelon. First lady bought a watermelon. I cut the watermelon open, and it was so good. It was so sweet, and I started to cut the watermelon out of the rind, and then I had to put it into some bowls, into some containers, so that we could put it into the refrigerator. But as I was cutting it out, I was getting rid of the rind, cutting it out, and I started to notice that my bowl was getting too full. So I had to keep cutting it. I had to keep cutting and pouring some in there. And so by the time I got finished cutting it, Minister Cobb, I had to realize that my top wasn't going to fit on top of the container. So no matter how I moved it around from the top, the top still wouldn't be able to close it. So what I had to do is I had to grab the bowl and I had to shake it. This is what happened. The pieces at the bottom fell into place. And the places that I couldn't see was being filled by what was in there. All because of the shaking. I don't know who this is for. You may feel like God is shaking your life up. Can I help you? He's shaking some stuff into place so that stuff will settle down so that he can go ahead and cover you the way you're supposed to. So he can come on and bless you the way he's supposed. So he can come on and be there for you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The pieces moved around, found their place, so that now those empty places, empty spaces, those places that nobody else knows about, now has been filled, get this, because of the pressing and the shaking. Here's the last point. I'm done. I'm going home. I still got some leftover July 4th food. This is what it says. This is the last one. He says he keeps giving. Don't miss it. This is the end. It says running over and poured into your lap. That's what it says. Running over and poured into your lap. Did I tell y'all I love God? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I let y'all know. Listen, because I love him because not only does he give me so that I may give to others, not only does he return it to me full, not only does he press it down, and not only does he shake it up so that there can be more put in there, but he also makes it to where the gift keeps giving. Don't miss it. God is such a glorious God that when you give, he makes sure that you have, that even while you're giving, you have all that you need. He makes sure that you don't run out. He makes sure that no matter what goes on in your life, he has everything for you. I'm done. I'm going to my seat. I want to leave by telling you this. If you give in the right heart posture, and if your giving is directed to God and not people, God will make sure that you have all that you need and it won't run out. Can I say that again? He says that if you give in the right heart posture, that's you got to have the right heart posture. Secondly, you want to make sure that your giving is not directed at the people or the return. It's directed at God. God will make sure that you have all that you need and it won't run out. Can I help? Can I give you Bible? 2 Kings chapter 4 talks about a woman that had to pay her debts. And if she didn't, the creditor would come and take her 2 sons, enslave them, and keep them as payment for her debt. While her husband was a servant of Elisha and a priest, while the priests were taken care of by the people, somehow this man got into some debt. Now, since he died, his wife, the widow, had to pay his debts, and Elisha asked her, "What do you have in your house?" She said, "I have nothing, only a flask of oil." Now, we all know what a flask is and looks like, and some of us still carry a flask today. But Elisha told her, he said, "I need you to find some jars, as many as she could, and start to pour the oil into the jars." This is what she did. She kept pouring from this flask and filled up all the jars. She had a bunch of jars, and then she got to a point to where she had to ask her sons, "Give me one more jar." The one of her sons said, "We have no more jars to give you." And then the oil stopped flowing. I just came by to tell somebody that your giving comes with reciprocity. Because my Bible tells me that he will give and it will be running over and poured into your lap. God will pour out so much unto you that it will be running over so much that he has already set you up for, and that you will have so much more, and that he will be able to bless someone else in the process, because it's the gift that keeps on giving. Good morning, White Oak Springs. Good morning to all of our guests. I'm going to go ahead and go to my seat, but I want to help somebody to understand what Luke chapter 6 and verse 38 is helping us. This is what it's basically saying. He's saying that if you give, all that you give will return back to you. Did you hear what I said? That if you give, all that you give will return back to you. How will it return? It will return in full, but it won't stop there. Also, when it gets full, God will see that he has to make room for more, and God will start to press into your life. Don't get weary in well-doing. All you got to do is keep giving. Don't worry about the pressing. God is making room for some more blessing. Not only that, God will press it down. Then he will shake some stuff and make them come together. And when he starts shaking it, y'all know what happened. When he shakes it, y'all have been in the situation where when you shake some stuff starts to spill out of the dish that you're shaking. Can I help you in this time? Give and you will receive all of it in full. Press down, shake it together, run it over, poured into your lap. I don't know who I'm talking to. God, make it run over. God, make it run over. God, run it over in my life. God, run it over in my children's life. God, run it over in my family's life. God, run it over in everybody's life. Can I get a witness? God is about to make some things run over. I don't know about you. God, run it over. God, run it over. God, run it over. Why? Because then, if it runs off of me, I can run it on you. If it runs off of me, I can run it on you. Because he is the gift that keeps on giving. What gift am I talking about? He came from heaven to earth just to show me the way from the earth to the cross. My debt he paid from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Help me, Lord, I lift. Just read Luke chapter 6, and you can stop at the very first word. Give, comma, and you will receive. Be careful what you give. Be careful what you sow. Be careful, because you don't, listen, the stuff that runs over, you want to make sure that you're pouring into good ground. You want to make sure that you're not pouring deceit into your you want to make sure you're not pouring criminalism into your people. You want to make sure that you're not pouring some nasty, dirty stuff that you've had to deal with and never dealt with into your children. Give, and you will receive. He's going to give it back to you full. I love it. He's going to give it back to you full, but then he's going to give you more because he's going to press it down, shake it together, and then it's going to start running over. Woo! Get it? When it runs over, that means you have more than enough than you need. So now you can start giving back into everyone else. And this is what I love, because what I gave the first time wasn't a lot. But once I gave it, he gave me more back for it. So now I can give out more than what I had the last time. Y'all see the exchange? Y'all see it? Your giving comes with reciprocal blessings. The doors of the church are open.